There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go. Let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Come on, Reverend David. I release and I let go.
I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit.
I am free.
Yes, I'm only here for.
We need to see you stand up and let go.
And let
the Spirit run your life.
And my heart
is open wide.
Yes, I'm
only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife.
With my faith,
I see the light.
I am free.
I'm free in the Spirit.
Yes,
and I'm only here for God. We need to do it one more time. I release and I let go.
I let the Spirit guide my life.
And my heart is open wide.
Yes,
I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit.
Yes,
and I'm only here for God.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That'll get some juices flowing a little bit. Good morning, Unity on Greenville. My name is LD Carter, and I am your celebration assistant today. Good morning. Yeah, they're talking back to me. How wonderful. Welcome to everybody here who's in the sanctuary this morning, and for our wonderful spirits that are joining us from afar, remotely. Welcome. Thank you for bringing your energy and your love to this moment. We appreciate you. Welcome to Unity, where we offer a positive path for spiritual living. Just a couple announcements this morning. First of all, we've been talking about this for weeks, and today is the day for our annual meeting. Our annual meeting, as annual implies, happens once a year, and that is when we go about doing the business of this spiritual community. So we invite you to remain after the celebration service this morning and participate in the annual meeting. If your little tummy is growling like mine already is, and you need some nourishment to keep your strength up, as you go out the door to the right on the pew in the foyer, there are goodie bags with little snacky things in it. So pick up one of those. And also our hospitality folks, who always do an amazing job, God bless them, have set up a table to the left of the door out in the foyer with some snacks and such so that you can refresh yourself a little bit. So do that, snack, revive, come back here to the sanctuary, and we will start our annual meeting. Now, for you folks who are worshiping from afar, sorry, no snacks and goodies for you, I'm afraid. However, you can join us for the annual meeting. There is a link on our website at dallasunity.org that you can click on, and you can join us by Zoom. So please, we invite you to do so. If you are here this morning, again, you can sign up in the foyer just before the annual meeting begins. We will have a couple of matters that we will be voting on, and in order to vote in the annual meeting, we need you to renew your membership. So you can just step outside and to the left. Everything's on the left this morning. To the left of the door here, you can find the sign-in sheet where you can initial your address. And also, that's a way of renewing. That tells us you are interested in renewing your membership. But also, would you check your contact information, your email? We'd like to have that. And also your mailing address, that's correct. And if there's a phone number there, would you check that as well? We'd appreciate it. Helps us keep our records up to date. Of course, another food-related activity. That's who we are. That's what we do. This one is called Sweet and Salty Reception. It's going to be March 5th after the celebration service. And it's called Sweet and Salty, I've been told, because it's in honor of Reverend David, because he is sweet, I've been told. Is that? Yeah, he is sweet, I've been told. But salty because we're going to share a couple of tears with his leaving us. So salty tears. He can, oh, he said he can be salty too. Okay. I take that as a promise. So, all right. So sweet and salty reception after the March 5th celebration service. You are invited to bring a treat that can be either sweet or salty. So please plan on that. We are, as you know, the reception is because Reverend David is departing, and this is the upcoming list of speakers that will be joining us in this interim period. Not going to read them all to you, but wanted you to see some of the names that are upcoming. Some of them are familiar. They've been with us before, and some of them are new. So we look forward to having them with us. This list is also, if you get our e-news, the list is also in your e-news that you got this past week. So we open our arms and just receive all the good that these wonderful spirits are going to bring throughout to us here. One of our speakers after the service will be offering a workshop on feng shui. Okay. Okay, somebody's excited. I just want to be able to pronounce it. It's all about clearing your clutter so that you make way for the good stuff to flow into you. That is going to be March 19th. Jeannie's going to be leading that. She will also be our guest speaker that day. So that's going to begin at about 1 o'clock. That's also, I understand, Potluck Sunday. So Potluck Sunday, again, eating. So we will have service, we will have potluck, and then you'll be invited to join her for feng shui. We share our good. We believe that in the unity principles of the fact, well, the law of circulation, our good flows into us. We just need to be open to receive it and act on it. And in turn, it flows out to others so that we may do good things in the world. One of those ways to do that is by making contributions to our little house that we have outside the door here at the church. We've stocked this with food goods for those folks who are in need. They can come by and collect those goods. We invite you to make contributions. The things that are best to go into this little contribution space, things that are easily opened, like pop-top things, like soups and canned meats and those kinds of things. Individual servings, things that don't require a can opener or other devices in order to access them. So you can put them in our little house that's just outside the doors here, and we appreciate your gift. Thank you so much for your giving heart. And now I'm going to ask Reverend David to come up, and he's going to talk some more about our giving hearts.
Thanks, LD. Yes, Unity on Greenville does believe in sharing our good and giving from the good that comes into this community, and we are a tithing spiritual center. So every month we do give 10% of what comes in to this community, to other organizations. And those are the Daily Word, which we use every Sunday here. We also tithe to the Unity Friends of the Archives. If you're not familiar with that, Unity has archives that we are supporting. And we also support the Stew Pot. And we gave $295 to the Stew Pot this quarter, not month, quarter, right? Monthly, okay, monthly. And $300 provides 150 breakfasts and 150 lunches at the Stew Pot. So your gifts are supporting those in the community, and we want to bless that as well. So as we take this opportunity, again, on your screen, there are many ways that you can contribute. Go onto our website, dallasunity.org. There's a QR code there that you can scan, probably on your screen there if you're watching. You can contribute by Zelle, you can contribute by text, and you could just do the old-fashioned way and send a check to our mailbox here. So we appreciate all the ways that you contribute to this community. So let's take a moment and bless these tithes, and then we're going to lead into our own offertory prayer. So take a moment, close your eyes, breathe into this moment, and allow that breath to remind you that you are constantly in the flow of divine life, that there is life that is breathing you into being. There is life that is beating your heart, and that you are in the flow of this eternal life in every moment. And as you open yourself up to the awareness of that, you feel the gratitude for all the ways that life manifests in your body, in your life, in your finances, in your relationships, in all the ways that you experience that abundant life in the here and now. And we celebrate that. We celebrate these gifts and tithes and offerings that come into this community, and we joyously and gratefully share them with others. We are blessed by your gifts and tithes and offerings, and we bless it as it goes out into the community to bless others. And so I invite you now to join me in our offertory blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. With gratitude, we commit to using our gifts for good. And so it is.
And now I'm going to call on Donna Kirby to come forward to do our morning prayer. Donna is our prayer chaplain for today.
Thank you, LD. Is her proper?
Yeah, I'm going to do Daily Word as she.
Okay. Well, I'm already up here, so you're stuck with me. Thank you. Good morning. As LD said, my name is Donna Kirby, and I am your prayer chaplain this morning. And in addition, Bristol Hart is in back of the sanctuary, and she is our keeper of the flame. And what she does, she keeps all of us here and those of you remote in sacred space. And I don't know who does it as well as Bristol does. So feel blessed that you have her here today. Let's just, and in addition, excuse me. After the service, I will be in back of the sanctuary, and I would be honored to pray with you. All right. Let's take a deep breath. And as we go to that sacred space within, that space where only you and sweet spirit, or whatever name you have, reside. It's the only place where you can feel safe, that you can feel loved, so pure. And as we are there, we are grateful, sweet Spirit, for this congregation, for our leaders, for the business meeting today, and for all our blessings. We are sincerely grateful. And we also want to bless those who may be experiencing illness, grief, sadness, whatever you want to call it. We want to give a special prayer and acknowledgement. And so what I would like to do is to take a moment and invite you to say aloud someone you know who may be needing prayer. And just as you say their name aloud, knowing that they will be prayed for as we begin. Judy. Thank you, sweet Spirit. And those names and others, even though they weren't spoken, we know, and sweet Spirit knows who those individuals are. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you for being prepared, too, because I got us out of order. So I need to own that. But we'll get back on track, okay? Next, we'll have our daily word. And to do that, I'm going to stop pretending I can see without my glasses. It is Sunday, February 26, 2023. Our phrase for today, let go, let God. Our affirmation, I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future. Holding on to what no longer serves me because it's familiar and I've grown accustomed to it may stall my growth. I evolve much more quickly when I trust my guidance and release old patterns and behaviors. In my heart, I know that when I move away from a dysfunctional relationship, a negative attitude, or unhealthy way of living, I move towards something greater: peace, safety, harmony, freedom, and fulfillment. I let go of anxiety or fear, and I open myself to happiness and security. I breathe in freedom. My heart becomes buoyant and my steps lighter. I set my intention today to release anything I have been fearful of letting go so that I can confidently move forward, open to infinite good. And our scripture comes from Matthew, the 18th chapter and the 18th verse. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Would you repeat the affirmation with me together? I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future.
Invite us today to, after hearing these words, to take them in, to allow ourselves to breathe into this message today of let go, let God. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're willing to do that, closing your eyes to the outer world, just for a brief time. And take a breath and allow that breath to bring you fully into this now moment. Feeling this pew supporting your body, feeling your back being supported as you feel your feet against the floor. I invite you to imagine your connection with Mother Earth and the energy rising up to meet you, to support you, to ground you in this very moment. And with the next breath, just allow yourself to relax as much as possible, your body, your mind, as you fully come into this present moment, as you feel the energy that is alive in you. Invite your own awareness now to be aware of your emotional energy, your mental energy, your physical energy. Again, the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors that you might be allowing to block your fullest expression of that divine life that is seeking expression through you, as you, in this very moment. And as you are willing, and only as you are willing, use that word, that phrase for today, I let go. I let go of what has been holding me back. Knowing that it is an inner process. We make a conscious decision, set a conscious intention to let go. Let go of resentments, let go of blame, let go of guilt, let go of fear, let go of worry and doubt. Let go of ideas of lack or limitation, let go of ideas of not enough. Let go of behaviors, patterns, relationships. Whatever it is in this moment that you are willing and ready to let go of, just imagine this energy of the divine washing through you, washing away, releasing into the flow of that divine life, letting it go. Let go. And then as you let go, as you feel yourself being cleansed of that, embrace this affirmation, I let God. I let Source, I let love, I let peace, I let joy, I let all that I can imagine that word God to embody. To fill my mind, to fill my heart, to awaken in every cell of my body, to be the inspiration that guides me to my next action, to my next relationship, my next job, my next unfolding, whatever that happens to be. So first we let go. We cleanse that energy and allow Spirit to cleanse that heaviness. And then we invite in that which we choose to embrace, to embody, to live. So as we go into a short time in the silence, I invite you to be in that energy, wherever that leads you. You don't have to seek too hard to find what is ready to be released. Just allow it to be, breathing into it, letting it go, and then inviting in the silence. So as you breathe back into this moment, I invite you to say with me, I let go, I let God. Together, I let go, I let God. Once again, I let go, I let God. Feel yourself grounded in that awareness. Know that every moment is an opportunity to return to this space, letting go, surrendering, and letting that life, that love, that joy, that peace live itself in and as that which you are. As you ground it all the way down through the bottom of your feet, feel yourself claiming it, knowing it, allowing it. Breathe that energy back into your heart, back into this room. As you are ready, open your eyes. Know that it is so.
Sometimes I think too much, think I know the way. Light turns another direction. Other times I listen to what the people say. It's less than perfection. But in my quiet place is where I start to change, observing the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the roundabout. My eyes can see beyond the corners. You've got yours, I've got mine. Together we can surely find our truthful tapestry of color on this merry-go-round. Yeah, on this merry-go-round. I feel light again the moment I see, when I find the answers. I want to stay in this zone, in this wonderland of flow, in the company of masters, and in my quiet place is where I start to change, observing the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the roundabout. My eyes can see beyond the corners. You've got yours and I've got mine. Together we can surely find our truthful tapestry of color in our merry-go-round. In our merry-go-round, merry-go-round. Yeah, yeah, merry-go-round. Yeah. You got yours and I've got mine. Let me stay in this flow. Let me stay in this flow. In this merry-go-round. Ups and downs, the roundabout. My eyes can see beyond the corners. You've got yours and I've got mine. Together we can surely find our truthful tapestry of color on this merry-go-round. Oh, yeah. You got yours and I've got mine. Sometimes I think too much, think I know the way. Life turns another direction.
Thank you, Rachel. Rachel Yvonne, everyone. Thank you for being here, Rachel. As always. So, a man walks into a bar. He orders 3 beers. And this happens like every week. He comes into this bar, he orders 3 beers. Well, finally, the bartender gets a little curious. He said, every week you come in here and order 3 beers. Why do you order 3 beers? He said, well, I have 2 brothers, and they've moved to different countries, and so we agreed, that every week we would get together and have 3 beers. We would each have 3 beers to celebrate our brothers. Oh, I got it. Okay, I got it. So this continued, and then one week he walked in and he ordered 2 beers. So the bartender said, well, you have my condolences on the passing of one of your brothers. And he said, what? He said, yeah, you said you ordered 3 beers to celebrate your brothers as long as you guys were all living. Oh, well, you'll be happy to know that my brothers are all well. He said, well, why did you just order 2 beers? He said, oh, you'll be happy to know that I myself have given up drinking for Lent. So Lent. We are in the first Sunday of the season of Lent, which in the Christian tradition is about giving up, sacrificing, penitence, repentance, those ideas. I know people who, I used to work with people who would give up things for Lent. They'd give up chocolate or give up bread or meat or something for Lent, and they thought, I was always curious about that. Well, why are you giving? I didn't grow up that way. So why are you giving up for Lent? Oh, well, we're giving up because we want to honor the sacrifice of Jesus, the suffering of Jesus. And I was like, so does giving up chocolate really equate to the sacrifice of Jesus? That never really made a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, in Unity, we look at Lent a little bit differently. I want to share just a short little blurb from Charles Fillmore, who was the co-founder of Unity, and this is in the book entitled Keep a True Lent. And what he says is that Lent is a season of spiritual growth, a time for progressive unfoldment, when we can blend and merge our mind with God mind. The way is open for the Lord to glorify us and to lift us into a higher, purer, more spiritual state. Again, I want to remind us when we use the word Lord in Unity, we're talking about the I am, that is the essence, the truth of all of us. We bind our minds together with the one mind, and then that self, that Christ itself, the true light, whatever word or phrase you prefer, it's all the same, is we give that more power and influence in our own lives. And so we celebrate Lent in the Christian church. Obviously, it's a preparation for Easter, for new birth, resurrection. Not so different in Unity. We are preparing our hearts, our minds, in the season of letting go, preparing our hearts and minds to more fully embrace and embody our own Christ nature. And so we celebrate the reawakening of that, the rebirth of that, the resurrection of that, as Jesus represented in the resurrection. We celebrate that as that coming up and being born, reborn in us at Easter. And so I believe that is that aspect of us. Excuse me, it's a little warm. I'm going to take this off today. So I believe it is that aspect of us, the truth of us, the highest of us, the true light of us, that is always sort of like calling us to more, to receive it, to be aware of it, and to embody it and to live it. It's always calling us forward, so to speak, pulling us in a way, if we pay attention to it, calling us to more. Calling us to something beyond what we have known from our history or our patterns. It's like letting go and letting God. It's that what we're talking about, that we sometimes allow these things to block us from living our highest potential. And I believe that no matter where we are in life, no matter what age we are, no matter whether we are still working or we're retired or whatever is going on in our lives, I still believe there's more and more and more and more that is calling us forward beyond what we have already known. I believe that because we're all still living. We all still have more to experience, more life to experience, more love to experience, more joy to experience. More of that divine essence of who we are to experience. It's like it's always like it's pulling us forward. But what keeps us from moving toward that? I was listening recently to a talk by Dr. Roger Teal. You might be familiar with Dr. Teal. He was the senior minister at the Mile High Church outside of Denver for many years. And what he called it, I thought was really appropriate. He said that we get caught up in what he called the pine-overs and the do-overs. Instead of moving forward, we want to look back. We want to keep looking back to what has been, what was. You know, you remember the story in the Bible about Lot's wife? When they left Sodom and Gomorrah, she looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. And I was curious about that. I thought, why a pillar of salt? Because salt is a preservative. Salt keeps that which is in the past preserved. And so she turned into this pillar of salt as a metaphor for that. So when he talked about these pine-overs and do-overs that keep us tied to what was. Pining over some past glory or some past experience or some past relationship or some past job in our own lives. Can you see that sometimes we don't move forward toward our greatest good because we're looking back to what was? I don't know about you, but sometimes I look back at my youth and think, oh my God, I wasted it. I look back on things in my own life and I think, well, those were the glory days. Those were the fun times. Those were the days, those were the good old days. Have you heard that, going back to the good old days? I think we see that, unfortunately, sometimes. Well, not sometimes. I think we see it in our culture today, in our country today. That we have people who want to go back to what they're calling the good old days. Before civil rights, before affirmative action, before the legalization of same-sex marriage, before interracial marriage. They want to go back to what they think was the good old days. Do you agree with that? Well, whose good old days were those? Right? Whose good old days were those? So who gets to say, you know? And we're pining over what was. What was. And I think it happens for us too in our churches, our spiritual communities. Can you see that as well? And I think it's happening for many churches, many spiritual communities right now. We're pining over the pre-COVID days. Do you see that? We're pining over the days when we had 2 services. We're pining over the days when we had a big youth program. We're pining over what was the good old days of church. The good old days when everybody believed that they needed to tithe. The good old days. And we can get stuck in that pining over what was. The days when church was really the only place that people could go for spiritual growth and nourishment, information. That's just not the case today. I think it's important for us to recognize when we're doing that. I'm not saying we always do it. I'm not saying you all are doing it. I'm saying that that's sort of in our mindset to, rather than pulling toward what is next, what is greater, what is next, we want to go back to the way it was. And then what he called the do-overs. Oh, and what I call the coulda, shoulda, woulda syndrome. You know, the coulda, woulda, shoulda. I could have. If I'd only known, I could have done differently. I could have made a different choice. If I'd only known, I would have done it differently. When I came back to Dallas, we lived in Dallas. Jay and I lived in Dallas. I don't know, many of you probably already know this, but we lived in Dallas for 29 years. Both of us lived in Dallas for 29 years, the area, for 29 years before we moved to Denver in 2014. We lived in several different houses. We bought different houses, redid some houses, sold those houses. And now I come here and I drive around and I think, boy, if I only could have held on to those houses. You know, I see the prices and I think, oh, wow. So there's a lot of that, you know, do-over. If I could only do it over, I would do it differently. I just say hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it? You know, I would have done it differently. If I'd known I was actually going to one day retire, I probably would have saved more money. I would have done it differently. But you know what happens when we get into that do-over attitude, the woulda, coulda, shoulda attitude, is that we shame ourselves, we guilt ourselves, we blame ourselves. And does that really ever do any good? No. So I think what's important for us, again, it's can we see that? And if there's anything to grow from and learn from in the past, let's do that. Let's bring that into the moment. Let's realize where we are right now. Who are we now? Who am I now? I'm not a 30-year-old man anymore. I'm a 62-year-old man. I'm right here, right now. I look in the mirror and I think, oh my God, when did my father start looking back at me? Who is that old man in the mirror? But again, See how easy it is, and maybe it's just me, but see how easy it is for us to get into judgment of what is now. With our own bodies, with our own life situations. And how powerful it is to recognize this is where I am right now. Believe it or not, David, you're not ever going to get any younger. Can you accept where you are right now? And allow that to be your starting point. Because what we know is that there is no power in the past. Where is the power? Where is God? Where is source? Where is life? It's not happening back there. It's happening right now, in this very moment. And if you're back here in the past, who is there? Who's living the now? Who's experiencing what is happening in the moment? And it's important for us to recognize that. And to when we can, I know it's not always easy. I know sometimes one thing we want to be drawn into the past. But can we find a way to let that go? To move into what is now and then where that river is taking us next. You know, I love the story, and we're in the season of Lent, the story of, Jesus coming to John in the River Jordan and being baptized. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, tells us that if we believe Jesus is any different than we are, then we will never be able to achieve that Christedness. He talks about how Jesus also went through the conditioning of the world, the ways that we are conditioned by our families and our religion, our culture, all of those ways. And then that story of when he comes to the river, John's calling, prepare ye the way of the Lord. And John is baptizing people to get away from what was, to move out of their attachment to the world, to the worldly things, and then move into a different life of the Essenes, the asceticism almost, where they didn't participate in the worldly things. If you remember in the story, John is that wild man who eats locusts and wild honey. He's that part of us, really, that's calling us to let that go and let's move into a new life. And then being in the moment and stepping, I can imagine, John, here's a new life for you. Here's a way for you to move forward. And Jesus recognizing that call, that pull. We're all there. It's calling us. Prepare the way of the Lord. Prepare the way for that self-existent true life, the Christ, to have its life as you. Let go of what was. And then he allows that river, the river of life. So we're talking about in the meditation, that river of life to wash away attachment to what was, to the past, to be present in the now, to let go of attachment to who he thought he was. And then in that moment, when he comes up out of the water, he hears that voice that says, you are my child in whom I am well pleased, or this is my child in whom I am well pleased. You are the son, the daughter, the expression of the divine. You are God in form. So that is our opportunity in every moment to hear the call, to follow the call, to allow ourselves to let go of ideas about ourselves that are anything unlike you are a child of the divine. You are an expression of God. You are God in expression. And to know that you are not judged. Are you willing to hear the voice of the divine coming from within you saying, "You, my precious dear one, you are my precious one, and I am well pleased in you." And then to move forward in that. I'm going to talk more about that next week. But to have that experience of what, again, Roger Teal calls, what does he call it? The give-over, the makeover, and the takeover. Give over, makeover, and takeover. Where you're giving over to something greater. You're giving over the self. Giving over your idea of self, a limited idea of self. Letting that be washed clean. Coming up and accepting who you truly are. Giving it over to a higher mind, a broader understanding. Intelligence beyond what you normally think of. Give it over. Let it go. And have that makeover. I'm not talking about going to the Clinique counter at somewhere, Dillard's or what, I don't even know what the department stores are these days. I'm talking about an outer makeover. I'm talking about this inner makeover. It starts from within us, where we know we're beautiful and perfect and wonderful and talented and glorious. And then as we claim that, as we know that, then we get to make over the outer. However that shows up for us. Right? We no longer believe that we deserve a dysfunctional relationship. We no longer believe that we are limited in our ability to create a financial life that we want to create. We believe that we are a divine being endowed with all of the powers, all of the presence of that divine, and we can accept that, make over ourselves from within, and then begin to express that. So we make over our lives. And I think sometimes, we can do that. Again, personally, but also in community. Who do we think we are? Who do we say we are? Are we limiting ourselves by who we believe ourselves to be? I mean, I'm not saying this in a critical way, but when we observe the words that we use to describe ourselves, that, we're this little church here on the corner of McComas and Greenville Avenue. Is that who you want to be? If so, that's okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But who do I really know myself as? What am I here to express and experience? Have that makeover internally with a new vision, a new idea, a new way of seeing myself. And then begin to make over whatever it is on the outer that needs to be made over. And then he talks about this idea of takeover. Tells a story of one of the, maybe, possibly, arguably the greatest operatic tenor in history, Enrico Caruso. Some of you may argue with that, I don't know. But at one point, the Italians obviously are very serious about their opera. So he was performing one night, and it wasn't really his best night. He had an off night. I'm sure we all have those off days, off nights. And so basically, they ran him out of town. Can you believe that? But in that moment, he decided that was not going to be his truth, his fate. And he went on to become, as I said, arguably the greatest tenor that ever lived. And the story is told that before every performance, he would stand in front of a mirror and say, "Little me, let go. Big me, take over. Little me, let go. Big me, take over." So you you yield to what is higher, what is greater, what is the very essence of you, every moment of every day. Because there is within each of us, I believe, that which is calling us to something more, something greater, something more expansive, some new idea of who and what we are to be in the world. Now, what I want to say about that, too, is that, I use the story of Jesus and being baptized and raising up and hearing the voice and claiming his truth. And what I know about these stories from Unity Metaphysics is that they all represent aspects of us, things that happen for us internally, things that are happening to us in the moment or at some point. But in these stories, it's a one and done. It's a one and done for Jesus in a way. He's baptized once, he claims himself, he knows his Christ nature, but I'm going to talk next week about him going into the desert. But this idea, but I want us to not go into this with the expectation that that's going to happen for us. It might. I'm not saying it won't. But if you're like me, those experiences happen over and over and over and over and over when we are aware and when we're willing. Very often, I can find myself in that space of pining over and wanting to do over something in my life. And it is my opportunity in that moment to come back to center. To as much as I possibly can in that moment, and again, I'm not saying it's easy all the time, but the more we practice it, I may come back to center and have all that stuff going on attached to the past, and it may take me days to allow that to wash through. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's pretty quick, but not always. To take that and to receive that and come back into that knowing, and then to move forward to what is next. And then we're continually drawn back. So it's not a one and done for us. We get to experience it. Don't let that scare you, though. Because that's life, right? It's an opportunity to be present in the moment for what is moving, what is active, what is alive in this moment. To be aware and to make conscious choices. What we're going to do with that. Know who we are. Move in the direction of what is next. Give it over. Have that internal makeover. And allow that Christ itself, the true light, to take over and guide your life. Just like we sang about this morning. I release and I let go. I let Spirit guide my life. My heart is open wide. I'm only here for one thing, to know God, to know source, to know life, to be love, to be that all that I am called to be. So as we remember that, as we know that, I invite you to take a moment right now and breathe into your heart. And as you breathe into your heart, I invite you to connect with that light that is calling you, whatever that feels like for you. Make it real. Give it a name. Give it a texture. Give it a color. Give it a tone. Allow it to reveal itself to you, that which is calling you forth into the now and into what is to be. And allow that to come forth in your mind, in your heart, in your body. Allow every cell of your body to become alive and alert and awake to that light, that power, that tone, that color. However you identify it. Claiming for yourself, I am a child of the divine. I am an expression of God. I am God in expression. Whatever works for you. And I am that which is moving forward, guided by Spirit. I give over what I'm allowing to block me. I allow my internal idea of myself to be made over, and I allow that Spirit of life to take over, guiding every step of my way. I let go, and I let God. Say that with me one more. Let's say it 3 times together. I let go, I let God together. I let go, I let God. I let go, I let God. I let go, I let God. And so it is. I am called to be a healer for all humanity. I am called to be a dreamer, to believe in what can be. I am called to be a maker, be an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I see. I am called to be everything. I am called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. I am called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you see. You are called to be everything. You are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. You are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. called to be. We are called to be the kindness, set the broken-hearted free. We are called to be forgiveness, where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then will we succeed. We are called to be the prayers, living out the truth we see. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth so all might see all the love and all the beauty shining out from you and me. We are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. We are called to be. Called to be.
Thank you. Thank you for an amazing morning. Oh my goodness. Okay, LD, get back on track. Who and what we are called to be as a spiritual community is reflected in part in our mission statement. And that mission statement is on the screen. Let's say it together. With divine love as our foundation, we live unity spiritual principles. We awaken to truth. We affirm the innate goodness of all and our oneness with creation. So it is. If you would like to connect with Unity on Greenville, if you have questions about the Unity movement, if you would like additional information, you can connect at our website at dallasunity.org. Just fill in some information and someone here from our community will be in touch with you. Again, any questions you have. Also, if you would like to receive our e-news, you can sign up for our newsletter and that'll come directly to your inbox. So please connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. One more reminder before we do our peace song and our parting prayer. Annual meeting here in the sanctuary. You don't have to be a member to participate, to be here present for the annual meeting. Please join us. Snack bags on your right as you go out, additional goodies on your left as you go out. Refresh yourself and then come back in here and we will begin our annual meeting. Okay? All right, so let's please stand for the peace song. I love this.
Yes, there is peace on earth. I know
it begins in me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God, our Creator, united all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, there is peace on earth, for this is the moment now. With every step I take, I make this my joyous vow. Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth. I know it begins in me.
And now a prayer for protection. The
The light of God surrounds us. The love
love
of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is,
and all is well. Amen. And thank you for being here. Annual meeting coming up.
May the light of God surround you. May the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you. The presence of God watch over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well.